Today's the day, friends. Today is the day. As you can see from the title, you already know what this video is, but I'm very excited. I have been wanting to read this book for so long, and today it's happening. So, if you didn't read the title, I am going to be reading Acotar, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I've had this since October, and I've been wanting to read it probably for longer than that. And today is the day where I finally read this book. I have not started, obviously, have not read it, but from what I've heard, I just don't think it's gonna be as good as Shatter Me. Like, Shatter Me is just so good that I don't know how it's gonna beat it, honestly. I also have not read a fantasy book with the fairies, as in F-A-E-R-I-E, so I don't really know what that means. It's not fairies as in these little dudes, like Tinkerbell. It's like this kind of fairy. So I have no really clue what this is gonna be like because I've never read a fantasy like this before, but we're gonna do it and I'm very excited. So I think how I'm gonna do this video is first, I'm going to read the book, obviously. I'm going to read the book spoiler free and like take clips of me like reading, you know, montage clips, some clips of my thoughts without spoilers. And then at the end of that, I'm going to give a spoiler-free review of my thoughts of the book. Is it worth the hype, my rating, all that stuff. And then after that, I'm gonna put in clips of me as I'm reading the book with spoilers I've seen. I think maybe Sarah Crowley did that. And I really like it because I feel like so many people have read this book that I need to put spoilers in this video just so people can hear my thoughts on specific things. So I'm gonna do that at the very end. So I will put like timestamps. I will put like big spoiler on the screen. So if you have not read Acotar, you won't watch that part of the video. And if you do watch that part of the video and you get the book spoiled for you, that is not my fault. I'm not liable for you watching the spoiler section if you know that it's a spoiler section and you haven't read the book. So I'm not gonna be liable for that. But yeah, so I think that's how we're gonna do the video. I don't really know much about this book except that it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and if I'm being honest, that means nothing to me because I've never seen Beauty and the Beast. So let's just read the back, shall we? It says, when 19-year-old huntress Farah kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged to a treacherous magical land she knows about only from legends, Farah discovers that her captor is not truly a beast, but one of the lethal, immortal fairies who once ruled her world. At least he's not a beast all the time. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for the fairy, Tamlin, transform from icy hostility into a fiery passion that burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. But something is not right in the fairylands. An ancient, wicked shadow is growing, and Farah must find a way to stop it or doom Tamlin and his world forever. Also, this is gonna be very fun because normally when I read a book, I post it on my Goodreads, I post it on my Bookstagram, or I talk to my friends about it. I'm just like, I'm in the middle of this book, you know? If somebody posts a story, I'm like, and they ask, what are you currently reading? I tell them what I'm currently reading, or I post it on my Bookstagram story or my Bookstagram saying I'm currently reading this book. But with Acotar, I am not telling anyone, well, except my husband, because he lives with me. Obviously, I'm not telling anyone I'm reading this book, and no one will know until this video comes out. So I'm not gonna post it on my Goodreads, I'm not gonna post it on my Bookstagram. Nobody's gonna know that I'm reading this book until this vlog comes out. So welcome to this vlog. Welcome to my thoughts about Acotar, because you will not know, even if you're my friend. If you're my friend and we've talked about Acotar before, I'm so sorry you're just now finding out I'm reading Acotar. But I thought it would just be so fun because this book is so hyped that I not tell anyone and not post it on Goodreads or anything, because obviously I have like people that follow me on Goodreads, they can see what I'm reading, and I don't want people to know that I'm reading this book. So here we are. I'm gonna start this book. It's also such a casual, like cozy Saturday afternoon, and it's the perfect time to start this book. Also, I'm on Sarah Curley's Patreon, and she's doing reading sprints at 2:30, and it's currently 2:09, so perfect timing to read. I've been in like my romance moment here in January, so I'm really excited to get back into a fantasy and just like have a different change of pace, you know what I mean? So let's get started reading this book. I'm very excited. Cannot wait to see if it lives up to the hype. Right now, I'm thinking it's not going to. That's my initial reaction, but I do not know. So we're gonna find out together. Okay, let's go. guys, so it is the next day, and yesterday I filmed the clip of me talking like in the afternoon, and then I read like 2 pages and couldn't keep my eyes open, so I like didn't really fall asleep because I had to leave in like 20 minutes, but I just ended up closing my eyes and not reading anymore. And then last night I got home and I read like maybe 30 pages and then fell asleep. So it's the next day and I'm updating you. Also, there's sun in my face. Anyways, and now I thought I would give an update because I'm on page 103. Basically, Farah, as you read from the back, she killed a wolf and it actually ended up being a fairy. And so in order to give retribution for killing the fairy, she has to go to, what's it called? Perithan? I can't remember. Anyway, so she's taken there to, like, you know, she either has to die or goes to live all her days at the Perithan or whatever. I can't remember how to say it. And so she's basically just living there right now. That's kind of all that's happened. I feel like I'm like enjoying myself. I'm enjoying my time. I am intrigued to see what's gonna happen. But also when I think back to the first 100 pages, not much has happened, but also it's kind of what happens when you read a fantasy. Like the first 100 pages or the first half of the book, whatever it is, are kind of slow. With Dance of Thieves, it wasn't like that. It was like 40 pages and then you kind of get to the good parts, or at least to the romance parts. Like the majority of Dance of Thieves is romance, which is really great. There's no romance yet. It's very much just like the fantasy part, and there's some things that I'm not quite understanding. There's like words and things that I'm not understanding, and I've just never read a book with like the fae or like the high fae and fairies and things like that, so I don't really know what's going on. Like I'm kind of understanding it, but I'm kind of like not understanding it. But it is interesting. Like I'm excited to continue to see what's going on, but it is like obviously slow. Like it's just building up to the good parts, I guess. Also, I'm using one of my new bookmarks that I got from Lauren's library card on Instagram, and it's so cute. Look how cute that is. It's pink and red hearts and white hearts, and it's adorable. So I don't know if she's still selling these, but she has other bookmarks that she's selling. I think she's gonna do more Valentine's Day ones if you want to buy them. But obsessed, so that's super fun. But actually where I just stopped, I feel like something's about to happen, but we don't really know much about like the fae, the fairies, anything like that, except there's just something happening that's changing about the fairies. I don't really know. That's where we're at. Just thought I'd update you. I'm gonna keep reading. Wow, my makeup is literally a hot mess. It's just like barely there at this point. But I wanted to do an update because I've read some more of Acotar. I'm on page 208. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm probably gonna have this be pretty short because my spoiler section of the video will have more of my thoughts because I don't know anything, but I feel like I'm reading it slower, like almost. So I'm like, I should be farther than 200 pages. I feel like it's taking me a while to get through it, but I think it's good. It's just not anything like revolutionary, you know what I mean? Like it's an interesting story. I'm excited to like read it, but it's not like revolutionary, you know what I mean? And maybe it's because it's the first book in a series and you have to continue it, which I get. But there's been series in the past where like the first book you're just like right on into it, you know what I mean? So I feel like I am not enjoying the fae or like the fairies part of the fantasy. Like I feel like I like other fantasies more that don't have that, because I don't know, I just find it kind of like, I don't know, I just don't really think I like it. So maybe that's why I'm not as interested in it, but I don't know. Because I do like it, but it's just like, some of it I'm not understanding. I'm just like, I'm just gonna keep reading, gonna keep vibing until it starts to make sense, because it's not making much sense. I mean, it's not that hard to understand, but like some of the words, I'm just like not understanding what's going on, like what the problem is, because like the words are just not making sense. Does that make any sense? I don't know. So maybe it will as I continue reading, but I've also heard Akamoth, A Court of Mist and Fury, there's more like history and stuff that doesn't make much sense, so I might need to watch a plot summary on YouTube like my friend Allie did. Anyways, that's my updates. I'm gonna get a bath, read this, and I don't know if I'll update you again today, but I'll probably will tomorrow. Hello guys, it is the next day, and I have a bun in my hair. Is that how you call it? I have a bun? There's a bun on my head? My hair's in a bun? Anyways, I read more of Acotar, and on page 329, I didn't update after I got a bath last night. Well, I did for the spoiler section, but not the non-spoiler section, so I'm giving an update. I have like 70 pages left, so not very much, but I plan to finish today. Basically, page 300 is when the action really starts, and so that's kind of annoying, but the first like 300 pages aren't like bad. They're interesting, but there's not just like a lot of action. Like you're not on the edge of your seat, you know what I mean? And then you also find out like more information on page like 300 that makes more sense for like the storyline and the plot. I do have to say, I feel like I'm not very invested in the characters and not like really interested in them. So I'm almost kind of like ready for it to be over, to be honest. I'm like ready to see what happens at the end, but I am enjoying it. Like, it's not a bad book at all. Obviously everyone loves this book, but I just feel like I'm not seeing what everybody else is seeing. I've heard the second book is better, so I will definitely like hopefully read the second book. I would plan to read the entire series, but I'm like, do I want to own the entire series? I don't know. I have tabbed a few things because I like some of the moments, even though they're probably not even gonna like make sense, or not make sense. They're gonna be like irrelevant when I read the second book. But yeah, so those are my updates. I will update you when I finish the book. A few days later, and I'm finally sitting down to share my final thoughts, review, rating, all that stuff on Acotar, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And I'm very excited. I have been like sitting on it, like letting it brew for a little bit, a few days since I finished it. I think I finished it on Monday and it is currently Thursday, so a few days since I read it, but I feel like I just need it. Sometimes you just need to sit on a book, let it marinate. That's the word I'm looking for, let it marinate. So I will say that I did really enjoy this book. I thought it was good, I thought it was enjoyable, but I am going to give it 3 stars because the first 300 pages are literally so slow, like not much happens in them, which I get, you have to do some world building and stuff like that, but I can't in good conscience give this more than 3 stars when the first 300 pages are so slow. Like, if the only part of the book that was like super fast paced is the last 100 pages, I feel like, you know what I mean? So I've heard that it gets better as you read the series, so I'm excited to continue it. That's one thing that I do have to say, is that I have been thinking about this series and I am very excited to read the next 2 books and see how they are. Let me know if you want me to do a reading vlog on the next 2 books in the series. I might not. Really depends on if you want it, because I plan to get the next 2 books, but I don't know if I want to do a reading vlog of it. So let me know if you want to see that. I'll also be posting a picture on my Bookstagram and asking, because if you want to see it, I will do it. Basically 3 stars. I did really like the writing. I thought it was very like easy to read. It's like very digestible fantasy, but since it's my first book of like the fae or the fairies, like my first fantasy with that, it was kind of hard to understand that world. I was like, what is going on? And I don't really feel connected to the characters, but I do want to continue the series. So it's kind of my overall thoughts. I feel like it is what I expected it to be. I feel like I expected it to be good, enjoyable, but just not as good as some other fantasy that I've read, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the series. I feel like there's going to be a lot of good character development as we continue the series. I did want to say that this is YA, I'm pretty sure. Well, at least the first 3 books I'm pretty sure are YA, so there's no spice, like very like minimal spice. And then I think once you get to like the 4th and 5th book, they do have spice, but the first 3 books don't have spice. So okay, yeah, there is one scene that has like not too much details, but like I don't know if it's technically closed door. It's not like super descriptive, but there is like one scene like that, so just so you know, super mild and stuff, like not much. I think I've seen this on Amazon as YA, but I feel like it's an adult fantasy, so I don't really know. Just wanted to say that in this part of the video. If you were wanting to know about spice, it's very minimal. Easy to skim over like 1 paragraph if you don't want any of it at all. That's kind of my thoughts on this book. Let me know your thoughts. If you like Acotar, if you think it's overrated, if it's worth the hype, let me know. I obviously haven't finished the series. I personally don't think the first book is worth the hype, in my opinion, but maybe I'll change my mind as I continue it. If you don't want to watch the spoiler section, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to watch the spoiler section, please enjoy. I tried to share my thoughts as I was reading it with spoilers, and then like my final thoughts of some spoilery things at the end. So please enjoy. If you have not read Acotar, please exit out now. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and if you want the spoilers, here you go. So right now I'm on page 103, and basically Farah is at the place that starts with a P. I literally cannot think of the name, and she's living with Tamlin and what's his name? Lucian, and she's learning that there's something called the Blight that's causing the powers to be like faded in the fairies and the high fae, and they have to wear, they like have masks stuck to their face. If you've read the book, obviously. You're reading the section, you know. And so she's learning about that, and I feel like my guess, as she's reading, well, the back says this, but like, as she stays there longer, she's gonna realize that it's not everything that she expected to be, or that she's been told since she was a kid. She's been told things about the fairy and the fae and all these things, but I feel like she's gonna learn more about them. And also, right where I just stopped is when she just has a nightmare about killing Andrus. And so she just got out of bed. I have a feeling she's gonna run into Tamlin. I've also heard that people like Tamlin in the first book, but then you start to not like Tamlin. And I think she might date Tamlin before she dates Rhys, because I know obviously she dates Rhys, or she's with Rhys. I don't really know. Or Rice Hand, I don't know. Also, I'm really happy, if Tamlin's telling the truth, I'm hoping he is, that her family is being taken care of, that they're being like fed and stuff. I'm hoping that that's true. I'm assuming it is, because she says that fairies can't lie, but we'll see. Okay, that's all for my spoiler section of this part. So I'm gonna read, and I will update you with more spoiler stuff in a bit. Alrighty, it is the second update for the spoiler section, and I'm currently on page 208, and I'm annoyed because everyone like hates Tamlin. It's like a thing when you read these books, that you just don't like him. And in the first book, you do like him. I really like his character right now, and I'm kind of annoyed because I know that I'm going to not like him because something happens in the second book, which makes me annoyed. I feel like I hate that. Like, I'm literally reading this whole book, really liking this character, and then I'm gonna not like him in the second book. And I know I'm probably not supposed to know that, but like, it's kind of everywhere where people don't like Tamlin. And obviously she ends up with Rhys, and he's not in this book. I do think she ran into him, I think, when she went to the night, what is it called? No, I don't know what it's called. Like the night thing, where Tamlin gets all the power and stuff. I'm pretty sure she ran into Rhys, because she says he's the most beautiful man she's ever seen. That's my guess. I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure she ran into Rhys, or Rysand, however you say his name. But what had just happened was, literally forgot her name. Farah just gave Tamlin a painting, and he wanted the one of the like woods and stuff where she lived. So sorry, my dogs are losing their mind. The woods, yeah, he wanted the woods one. Anyways, I'm gonna get a bath and read this, and I'll update you for more spoiler thoughts literally in 2 seconds. Okay. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh my gosh. So I'm on page 234, and they're, you know, eating in their little area, and they hide Farah behind Lucian or whoever because someone's coming, and it's freaking Rhys. I knew that was the guy that saved her at the night thing. I don't know what it's called. Are you serious? They're like, they don't get along. Oh no. I don't understand. I guess we're gonna find out who the heck Rhys is. I knew it. I knew it was him. And I'm shook to my core that he just popped up. He just popped up. I don't know why my eyes are watering and my nose is running, but you know, I'm just shook. I cannot believe this happened. I literally turned the page and I saw his name. Was like, anyways, okay, that's all. It's the next day, more spoiler thoughts. I am on page 329, so she is currently like being held captive by Amarantha, I don't know. And she's trying to get Tamlin back, get the other people back. And we learned that they lied to her. She didn't have to go to whatever it's called, Pantheon, I literally don't know, to like get retribution or like pay retribution. She was there hopefully to marry Tamlin or to fall in love with Tamlin so he would like get his powers back and like break the curse, which makes sense. It's Beauty and the Beast retelling, like that part of the story makes sense. They just basically like didn't tell her that. He let her go because he knew they were coming for him and that the like curse was almost up. So basically she's trying to get him back. I don't know how I'm telling you the story. I'm just telling you the part where I'm at. I'm excited to finish it. Like I said in the non-spoiler section, I'm like not really interested in the characters. I'm not super invested in them emotionally, so I'm like not like I'm on the edge of my seat, but I'm like not like, oh my goodness, like these characters, I love them so much, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I feel like I had something else to say. Oh, also Rhys, I feel like I'm kind of seeing a little bit more of him. Like he didn't tell Amarantha or whoever Farah's name when he definitely like, or not that he didn't say her name, but he also didn't tell her that she was the one he saw. He was like, all humans look the same to me, like I don't recognize her or whatever, and said that the girl that they ended up killing looked like Farah, when he definitely like recognized her. He recognized her from like the night thing at the like dinner when he showed up again. So I'm definitely seeing a little bit more of him. There's more to him that we haven't figured out yet and we haven't seen yet. So maybe I'm hoping that in this book, he's gonna like stand up to Amarantha or whatever, and like they're gonna be able to get out of there, because she had to fight the worm and things like that to be able to get Tamlin out. She has to figure out the curse, or not the curse, the riddle. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna read. Oh my goodness, guys. I'm on page 340, and Reese has shown up. He healed her arm or whatever was wrong with it, and her fever, like her infection, and now she was like getting the lentils out of the fireplace, and he showed up. So, and he called her darling. That's pretty early on, I feel like, to call her darling. I keep seeing it on Instagram, him calling her darling, but I thought that's when they started dating, but he just called her that. So that's kind of fun. I'm interested to see more about him, because clearly we like him, but I don't know why we like him, because he hasn't shown much likable qualities yet. So he healed her, but he also, you know, made a bargain with her that she has to live with him for like a month, for a week every month. Interested to see what happens. Okay, guys, so I just finished Acotar. I wanted to like share a little bit of my thoughts of like the last however many pages since I last updated you with my spoiler thoughts. First, I am like shook that she became a high fae. It was almost like I was reading Twilight again when Bella becomes a vampire. I was like, that can happen? I was shook. I'm also confused at the very end. Oh, one thing, I read a quote that I've seen a few times, and I was like, not sure where it happened, and then it popped up. And I was like, are you kidding me? So it's Rysand saying, be glad of your human heart, Farah. Pity those who don't feel anything at all. Which is a really great quote. I really, really love that. But one thing is, like, he was about to leave. Like, he said goodbye. And he was about to leave, but then his eyes locked on hers. And then, like, he had shock on his face. And then he disappeared. And I'm a little confused. I'm sure we're going to find out more in the next book. But I was like, well, what is going on? I'm glad that they're getting to a home and that they killed whatever her name is, Amen or something. It was really hard to read her killing the two fairies. She finally figured out the riddle, which was great. And I'm also annoyed that we get one character and then like she ends up with Reese in the second book. I don't really know, but I'm starting to like Reese. I need to look up how you say his name.
This is generally often said as Rysand, although in some countries and regions, languages, it might be said as Rysand as well.
Rysand or Rysand, it doesn't matter. But it makes sense since they call him Reese that it would be Rysand. But anyways, I'm starting to like him. We're getting to know a little bit more about him, which is fun. And I'm excited to see what happens in the next book, because obviously they killed the girl. Literally don't even know her name. So something's going to happen in the next books that's going to cause a lot of turmoil, I'm assuming. Don't really know. I'm assuming she's gonna see her family again and have to tell them like, hey, I'm a fairy now, which is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna give my final thoughts like probably tomorrow after I sit on it, digest it a little bit more. Okay, it is time to share my final review of Acotar with spoilers. So I'm not gonna say anything I already said in the other review because that stands, but I want to share some like spoiler thoughts that I have. One, I feel like Reese, I'm very excited to see more of him in the next books. And I'm really curious to see what happens with Tamlin, because I feel like with Reese, when he talks to Farah, you get more of the background of what happened with him and Tamlin. And like, I don't know, I feel like when you obviously have two different characters, they're gonna have two different points of views. And so we've seen Tamlin's and what happened with Reese because they don't really like each other. And Lucian or whoever doesn't really like him. So I'm curious to see what Reese's perspective of them is, and like kind of what happened in Reese's life, what the high court looks like there, like what it's gonna be like when she goes to visit him a week in a month every year, or 1 week of the month every year. I think it's gonna be 1 week every month. Yeah, of the year. So I'm excited about that. I think that's gonna be interesting. I'm also intrigued to see what happens with her family since she is a high fae now, or she is a fairy. Those are some things that I'm intrigued about. I'm excited to find out what happens. If you have any spoiler thoughts, don't comment them below because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So if you want to DM me or something like that and talk about Acotar, you can totally do that on my bookstagram. If you've read this book, please let me know your thoughts, and I'm just excited to continue it. It's not as good as Shatter Me or Dance with Thieves and About Thieves, but I am still intrigued and want to continue the series. I want to know what's happening. I want to know. And the description of the next book sounds really, really good. So, but I think that's all for this video. I didn't really have much to say with spoilers, but I just want to end out this segment. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, my bookstagram. But I think that's it. And I'll see you very soon for my next video. Bye.